But I don't think my move to Romania allowed me to do that any easier. Previously, I simply had as many girls as I bothered to have or wanted to have. I just gave my time instead of my money. Whereas now, my time is so valuable. Let's say I have to make $100,000 in an hour. I'd rather spend that hour making $100,000 and give her a $500 present and then bank $99,900 and $500, whatever, and keep the extra money than sit around with her watching bullshit Twilight, because it's a waste of fucking time. So it gets to a point where the return on doing her crap just becomes zero. And it becomes, to a degree, not saying there's no love involved, because there is love involved, but it does become quite transactional. It does become like, look, I'm taking care of you, everything's taken care of, I'm busy. I love you, you love me, okay, you're loyal, I love you, bang, okay, I'm busy. Because you have more important things to do. Important men have important things to do. The things women want you to do aren't important. Nearly ever. It's bullshit. Now, if they have a loser man, then they'll yell at him to get off the couch, put the video games down, and go get some money. But if they have a man who's going out there getting money, they'll try and yell at him to come sit on the couch and watch a stupid movie. So that's just females. It is what it is. They always want what they haven't got. That's fine. But for you, if you're going to sit there as a completely broke man, the only thing you have to offer a woman is your time. So you're going to have to give it to her. I mean, but if you have other things to offer, especially, and I know this is an unfair comparison to most people watching at home, but I'm also famous and I offer status. If a girl gets to see me once a month, she gets status, and I'm famous, and she gets a lifestyle, and she knows she's taken care of, and she knows she's with me. So I get a whole bunch of brownie points that allow me to not use my time. So I'm living in a cheap love. So because I have to use my time, I could have unlimited. I could have 100 girlfriends if I wanted.
Which is a hell of a lot of admin.
Which is a lot. It's a lot of admin. But then you have to decide what you're doing it for, right? So if you're doing it just to show off, I mean, that's fun for a while, but it's really not worth it. If you're doing it so you can fill up a yacht like that, once again, that's fun for a while. It's really not worth it. The only thing that makes any of this worth it is children at the end.
So you know Dan Bilzerian quite well.
Yeah.
Dan's changed his whole thesis on this by living the hedonistic lifestyle. He's obviously getting closer to God now. He's finding God. He's finding purpose. But he says now. He openly said, I saw on the podcast the other week. He's talking about monogamy now. You would never talk about monogamy, would you?
No, I wouldn't. And I know Dan quite well, and I respect him a lot. He's a great guy, and I don't want to speak for him because he's his own man. However, his attitude towards women was never procreation. I think if Dan would have had 20 children across the last 5 years, he would be looking at monogamy right now. He'd actually be very happy with what he'd done, and he'd be considering making 20 more. But monogamy is perhaps what he wants to set up before he creates children. That's his choice.
So where you've approached it differently is you've gone, right, I will date multiple women, but I'll have children with multiple women as well. Whereas Dan said, okay, I will sleep with hundreds of women, but just to sleep.
I'm uninterested in sex for the sake of sex. I think it's pointless. If I'm going to have a girlfriend and we're going to sleep together, there has to be a chance of a child appearing. God can decide, but there should be a chance of a child appearing. That's what sex is for. I don't think it's interesting just in and of itself. I'm really over that. But before I die, I would like to have as many versions of me as possible on the planet. God will decide how many come. Women take 9 months to grow a whole baby because they're slow. That's their problem. And children will be made. Yeah, that's the bottom line. Children will be made.
But good things take time.
Well, yeah, they do. But I mean, I can say some really controversial things. In fact, I'll say them. Let's go. So one of the primary reasons Western society as a whole is failing. One of the primary reasons it's failing is because men have been cucked by women into only having children, only then. A woman will come along to a man and say, have my kids. I want kids. We're going to have children. And the man will go, okay, fantastic. And she'll go, but don't have kids with anyone else. And he'll go, okay. And then he'll go and he'll work his ass off and he'll, try his very best. And then she'll say, okay, I need a nanny and I need a bigger car for the kid and we need a car seat and the kid needs to go to piano lessons. We need a bigger house. We need a playroom. And he'll slave away to get 1 or 2 kids out of this woman. And then if he asks her for a third, she'll say no. I don't want to have any more kids. It's too hard. Get pregnant's too hard. And we need another nanny. And I want to go on holiday. And I want a Birkin bag. I want Instagram likes. So this female and her whims, her emotions, her primary concerns, which a lot of the time are just showing off, have limited that man's genetic potential massively. Now, those are the most successful men in Western society. The least successful men don't have that problem. There's breaders on the street with no money, 9 baby mothers, taxpayers raising all of them, doesn't care. So who's reproducing? Think about it. Who's reproducing in Western society? It's not our best. It's actually the opposite. You wonder why immigration rates are getting out of control. You wonder why London's not white anymore. Well, that's because they have kids, the immigrants. And their wives, their women aren't saying, I need a bigger house and a nanny. No, their women just have children because that's their culture, to have kids. That's what they're for. Western women don't think that way. Western women are uninterested in having kids until they 32. I want to follow my career. What's your career? Instagram? What's your career? You're out every fucking night. Name a career. You haven't got one. What you want to do is follow the money, follow the bag, and go Maldives and take pretty pictures. That's what you want to do. So they're wasting their most fertile years on dumb shit. We talk about the population collapse in the West. This is exactly why. Because men are not like me to sit and say, I want children. I'll have a kid with you, cool. And if you take too long to grow it, listen, 9 months is how long it's supposed to take. Double up. That's your problem. Get it done. If it takes too long, I'll have kids with her. Oh, but I don't want you to. Tough. Because my genetic legacy is more important than your feelings. When I'm dead and gone, they will talk about how many children Andrew Tate had. They will not talk about the fact that some chick cried and told him what to do, and he was scared of her getting mad at me. I'm not afraid of you. So I'm gonna have his kids with whoever the fuck I want. Like men have always done. That's all we've ever done. So the Western society now, the females have cucked men into sitting there, only having kids with them. If you have a woman that says only have kids with me, the deal is, okay, have as many as I want. If you'll give me 20 children, if you'll be pregnant for the next 20 years, deal. But if you're gonna start saying, oh, one's enough, well then, sorry, the human race needs to, it's more, the human race, females in their narcissism, don't think outside of themselves. The human race and Western civilization is more important than your crybaby feelings. So we need children on the planet. We're literally collapsing. Get over it. That's the bottom line.
So what would you say to all the women listening to this podcast then that are entrepreneurial women that have got these e-commerce brands, they're doing a couple of million, there's quite a lot of women out there that's being successful in business. What would you say to them then? Because they're putting off being a mother to do the business stuff.
Well, I'd say congratulations on their success, and I'd say they should get pregnant at the same time. Think of all the things I can do simultaneously. I can be a convict and one of the most famous men on the planet simultaneously. Elon, as we just discussed, puts rockets in space and owns the largest electric vehicle company in the world. And now he's going to work directly for Doge, cleaning up the government all at the same time. A lot of it's just cope. A lot of it's just excuses. Females, I believe, have, I wouldn't say obligation because that's going to be used against me. But typically it was the men who build and it was the women who provide the children. For Earth, men build the cities, men build the roads, men build, women give us the children. Well, birth rates are collapsing and we've built more than we've ever built. So men are doing their job. Men are still building all these things, but we can't seem to get the kids we need. Now, the reason I'm saying all of this, because I know I'm going to be attacked for it, but it is what it is. This is only a Western world phenomenon. This is not the case in many places on the planet. This is what's so interesting when you talk about geopolitics. I have so many people come to me and they're Western nationalists or they're white supremacists. I talk to everybody on all ends of the spectrum. I talk to a hard liberal. I'll talk to a Nazi, far right white supremacist, even as a mixed race man. I talk to everybody. And the white supremacists are saying they don't want Africans coming into their country and they don't want their country to be less white. And I say, well, you don't have a choice because if you let one African couple in, they're going to have more children than 50 of your couple. Like on a long enough time frame, it's just math. It's just numbers. So we now have a society where women have been liberated from their obligation. And we've asked them, okay, you don't have to have children, which is your traditional obligation. What do you want to do instead? And let me ask you, and I'm going to ask you a question now.
Go on, here we go.
What have women have been unchained, unshackled from their original obligation, which was reproduction? What have they done of merit since?
Become real estate agents in Dubai.
Well, there you go. You have Instagram models, you have porn stars, you have girls going to work, doing a job, which truthfully a man could do better, and we all know it. What are they doing instead that matters as much as children? Or have they done anything at the same level as reproducing?
There's nothing in my mind that matters as much as them being able to have children if they want children.
Absolutely.
I understand that. But I know some phenomenal entrepreneurial women
Completely.
that listen to this podcast as well that have also done some mad stuff.
Absolutely. And here's
So there's polarity in that.
no, of course, but here's where we get into the difference between the man and the female, the masculine and the female mind, because females will think exceptions disprove the rule. Men don't. When you talk about subjects like this, there's going to be a woman watching this who's very successful who's going to be insulted because she's an exception to the general rule.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. When you talk about geopolitics, when you talk about population collapse across a nation, you can't talk about exceptions to the rule. If I talk about the fact that the Western typical family in Britain doesn't have many children, and that's why the population's collapsing, it's asinine to turn around and say, here's one family that has 10 kids. Yeah, that is one family that has 10 kids. But we're talking geopolitically, and we're talking about society as a whole. We're talking about the trend as a whole. You're right. Some women are fantastic entrepreneurs. Agreed. However, the majority of breeding age females do not have children, not because they're fantastic entrepreneurs. It's because they're doing fuck all. They're scrolling TikTok. They're pissing around. They refuse to have kids. They don't want to. They want Birkin bags and Instagram likes, and they're doing nothing at all important. That's the reality of it. Now, before everyone says I'm blaming women, we can also blame men, because there's a whole bunch of men who don't want to have kids.
Well, men allow that to happen. Men allow them to walk through life and buy the Birkin bags, because if they're an attractive female and that's the kind of life they're living, whether they're living in Dubai, the Miamis, or all these places in the world, and they're living that kind of life, it's men that are allowing that to happen, so it's the man's fault.
There's no light without dark. It's equal the man and the woman's fault. It's equal. It's both sides. I understand why women are going to be watching this saying, well, why would I just have kids with some random guy? How do I know he's going to take care of me? Completely true. You need a man to take care of you, and you need a man capable of taking care of you.
But how can it be a woman's fault? Because a man's men are leading the world and leading life.
Well, we have a lot of girls. Well, we just discussed it, right? We just talked about how they get together with a man and they're going to limit his genetic possibilities.
But that man has allowed her to limit his genetic possibilities. So that man is at fault, not the woman.
Well, and this is the thing, because now you have competing interests. So, and this is the thing that most people don't understand about having genuinely intellectual conversation. When you talk about one subject, now we're talking about female birth rates, right? Yeah. We could talk about it from the perspective of geopolitics. We can talk about the perspective of race. We talk about it from the female perspective, the masculine perspective. They're all different perspectives, and they all have competing obligations. This is what's interesting. So the man, I know what you're saying. A woman will sit and say, well, I can't just have kids with anyone because I need to be taken care of, and I don't just want to be left with a baby by myself. Completely agree. A man will sit and say he doesn't want to have kids for other reasons. And then a country will sit and say, well, we need children, so we have to find a way to make it work. So you have all these competing viewpoints and competing objectives.
But I know that me and you sat here accept that everything in our lives is our fault.
Correct.
Both the positive and the negative.
Correct.
So if that's the truth then, and that's how that you teach every man to live their life,
yeah,
regardless of whether the female decides to have children or not, or this, that, and the other.
It's his fault.
It's his